Let's begin with Geeta, yeah. O Bhagavad Gita, by which Arjuna was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness upon us. O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows. The milker is the cowherd boy, Krishna. Arjuna is the calf. People of purified intellect are the drinkers. And the milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent and the crippled cross mountains. Okay. So you might have thought that we'd completed yoga of meditation. I did say that we just moved through, yes?
We're in 7 now.
Yeah, but now we're not. So we're giving bonus time to the yoga of meditation.
Nice. That's good.
So it's a very important chapter, very important discourse. So I traveled about 2/3 of November. In December, I don't have any travel on the horizon as far as I know of. So I think we'll get through again pretty quickly. Let's see. But it's important, and that's no doubt. There are no accidents here, so no doubt. And this, I'll just start again with 18, and then we continue. We had gotten to 23, but I'll just read these first 5, and then we'll dive in a little bit more because they're all related. Here, to this point, Lord Krishna has been teaching the truth. Capital S self is introduced, yes. Immortal cannot be wetted, cannot be cut, cannot be burned, yes, etc.
Right.
Arjuna had freaked out. Yes? Arjuna, facing his duty, absolutely, completely lost it, totally, irrevocably, lost it. Arjuna said, and Krishna says to him, what has come over you? And Arjuna finally ran out of steam and fell down. Thank God for that. No, I mean really, for us in our lives, thank God for that. Thank God that we get a break from ourselves and we can come within and ask a meaningful question and listen. Otherwise, this would be a terror. Life as it is pretty difficult. But if it weren't for that, it would be impossible. Yes, Mataji? Lord Krishna says, what has come over you? And then he begins to teach yoga, right? Starting with Samkhya Yoga, who are we? And then Karma Yoga, the way out, the way to purify the intellect and to become clear and to tap that wisdom within. And then here coming to, and the discussion about renunciation and what is to be renounced. What is to be renounced?
Fruit.
The fruit. Yeah, the fruit. Self-effort is to be renounced. Self-effort is to be renounced. You can consider this to be a trick question. You'll actually have to think about it. Even little less effort is not to be renounced. Effort is not to be renounced. One is not to renounce their duty.
No. I thought I meant you become a vessel for...
but doing for yourself, is that to be renounced?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Doing with an expectation of gain coming back to you, is that to be renounced? Yeah. Tyaga, if we remember, Tyaga was introduced as the real concept of renunciation is Tyaga, renouncing the little I. Renouncing the I-ness and mindness. Renouncing doing for myself, but still, of course, engaging. And then coming to the yoga of meditation. And then here, because now we do come to fruit. Now we do come to fruit, and that's what the Lord is teaching here. He says, when you have your mind well trained, see, everything he's taught to this point is about training the mind, right? So now he says, when you have your mind well trained, so that it rests solely in the self, capital S self, or Atman, without wanting anything, then you are established in yoga, or union. The well-trained mind of a yogi concentrating on the self, capital S self, is as steady as a flame in a windless place. Disciplined by yoga practices, the mind becomes calm and tranquil. Then the individual self, jiva, beholds the true self and is completely satisfied. Since we had the long drive, I started listening again to Audible. And I had the inspiration to listen to Upanishads on the drive. Mm-hmm. So we downloaded a lovely work. It's all 13 of the principal Upanishads in one work. So it's a 12-hour long and obviously not a lot of commentary. And it's based on the Max Muller translations of 100 and some years ago, which are classical translations. And so there's commentary up front. It's the work is really an inspired work. It's very, very well done. So there's introduction, a beautiful introduction, and then coming in. And here, this, of course, is being pointed to. And there is some discussion. It's in Taittiriya Upanishad, specifically, that this rings, which is then the individual self beholds the true self and is completely satisfied. So that is really the state of union. What does the state of union look like? It looks like the mind, which had come away from and pointed outwards and had been trying to find its fulfillment, its mother, we could say like that, its home, its reality, which it cannot be satisfied being separate from, trying to find it out there. Huh? Yeah. And constantly coming into union with different objects, which turn out to be objects of pain. Yes. Right? Yes. And so what we've discovered is a state not of union with bliss, but union with pain. Huh? And the mind, having turned inward, becomes satisfied. The little self, the jiva, becomes satisfied in the self, in the capital S self, never wanting to leave again. Huh? So, and that satisfaction, I've described it as, I've shared this before, walking in Pennsylvania. This is when it happened. And having the experience of this great sigh. Yeah, an appointment to get that reattached. Oh, yeah. Revered, yeah. A great sigh inside. It's the greatest sigh that I've ever experienced, the greatest relaxation imaginable. We have savasana, which is a great relaxation in the asana practice. But imagine that on a much grander scale, where the little s self simply relaxes, where the jiva relaxes and says, like this, I'm not in charge here. It's fine, it's perfect. Better this way, much better this way. And so the little self finds its place back within the great self as an atom, as a cell in the body of the self. Not imagining itself to be separate any longer. Right? Okay.
In the final relaxation, we call that part is the spiritual relaxation.
Yeah.
So it's after the physical and after the mental.
Yeah.
You get to the
that's
spiritual
it.
part.
And so that's what this is.
Right.
That's what this is. That's a little taste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why it's there, of course. And of course, the practitioners will say that's the best part, right?
Yes.
That moment, that's the best part of the practice, yes?
Yes.
And Swami Vishnu would say, yes, everything else is a preparation for that part.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so to hear this entirety of sadhana, the entirety of the practice of the yoga, is the preparation for this, Mataji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This complete relaxation into the self, where whatever happens can't disturb any longer. The mind doesn't any longer get blown about by the wind and by what someone says and whether someone likes me or doesn't like me or any of this. And he is completely satisfied, not a little. He says, the language here is very precise. Okay, move on. Once your intelligence actually experiences this greatest joy, which surpasses all pleasures of the senses, you become consciously established in absolute reality and never slip from that again. And the point about Taittiriya, it's being, of course, we know the Bhagavad Gita to be of the Upanishads, or to be as an Upanishad itself, but drawing upon the Upanishads. And so here, beautiful discussion in Taittiriya. Once you are established in that reality, there's absolutely nothing else to achieve, nor will anything ever shake you again, not even the worst possible affliction. You know, Mataji, this time for us and what we've experienced here in ashram over the last couple of weeks, etc., it's perfect, because otherwise we might imagine that we were there already. Yes? Oh no, Shivaya. And through grace we get to see, well, not quite yet.
Still struggling.
And we're reminded of the importance of sadhana. 23. Yoga is a means to disconnect your identification with that which experiences pain. Therefore, be determined to steadily practice yoga with one point in mind. So, and this time should be a great reminder for us, right, of what's important. And I look here and I see, you know, some of our Sangha not here with us and choosing to unite with pain. And so it's a terrible choice. It's a terrible choice. Of course, the choice is born from not having proper discernment yet, not having clarity yet, not being able to see yet. So we can't say that we're entirely to be blamed. However, in a way, we are. Because we make our own choices here. Yeah, and having been exposed to the teaching, you know, and then continuing to choose the same old patterns is really, it's not sadhana. It's the opposite of sadhana, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ashram is here for sadhana. So this is what Swami Venkatesananda Maharaj has to say about these two. And he translates them this way. He says, having attained which, he thinks there is no superior gain, wherein established he is not moved even by heavy sorrow. And this was the last one that we had discussed when I was with you 10 days ago, like that. And it's interesting. We'll let Swamiji provide the commentary, but it's interesting. He thinks, so normally we would think of the capacity of thought as something individualized, and our experience with it is that the thoughts are dominated by this self-centered nature, almost controlled by the self-centered nature, because habitually the thoughts are about what I need, what I want, what I expect, right? Yeah. So I expect you to behave a certain way. I expect this situation, oh my God, it's cold in the mornings. I can't wait until it gets warm again, like this. So where that thought is centered in the lower self. But here, upon reaching this place, there's still thought. I'm not saying that there's no thought. But, and this is a conscious mind activity. So upon reflection, what do I need? Upon reflection, what do I need? It's a good question to ask oneself. Upon reflection, what do I need? Let me reflect. Let me see what I need. So this is an activity of vivek, right? Discernment. The intellect, conscious mind. You can ask yourself this inside, what do I need? And you can see what emerges. And here, nothing. Nothing. So he thinks that there's nothing to attain. Nothing. I need nothing. That's the answer that comes back. No, nothing. So he's describing state of yoga. Wherein established, he's not moved even by heavy sorrow. You asked the question last night about the massage, free massage, what to do. Well, if you reflect on it with clear discernment, you'll say, I'm not going for that. I don't need that. Oh my God, if I do that, what am I going to have to deal with then?
More boring.
Right? What if it's a bad massage? What if it's a good massage? Huh? What will I have to deal with then? And will that take me out of this state of union? Will that disturb the peace? This is where Peace Pilgram, when she's speaking of, consider that everything that you do should be leading you towards peace, not disturbing of the peace. So with proper discernment, you see, I don't need anything because there's nothing superior to this alignment.
That's true.
There's nothing worth disturbing this for. Would you rather die than disturb this? Yes, dear. I live only through thy grace anyway. Yes? I live only through thy grace anyway. My life is not a separate life. I imagined it to be, and I suffered. And what changed? I just don't imagine it to be a separate life any longer. There's not an idea about that. So what would be worth taking on that imagination again?
Right, relighting.
What is it that could possibly happen which would be so important that I would prefer to engage in that, contemplation of that, instead of here? Anything?
Only Maya can do it.
Maya is a sweetheart, actually. In truth. She's a sweetheart. She also serves the one faithfully, perfectly. Let that be known by the name of yoga, the severance from union with pain. Yeah. So usually this, and this is also in Taittiriya Upanishad. This particular shloka is taken for sutra is taken from Taittiriya. This concept that yoga is the severance of the union with pain. So that's very significant approach, very significant way to reflect upon it. Huh? Usually we hear yoga as union with one's highest self, or union with bliss, or union with Satchidananda, right? But it's not actually. Because you already are that. So you're not actually uniting with something. You're severing the union with pain.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So technically speaking, this is a more correct approach, although you would have to get to here in the Gita in order to be able to relate to it. Right? We'd have to be imbibing in the teaching. We'd have to actually be living it in order to be able to relate to it. Because we're so accustomed to the pain. And so accustomed to the hope that something will happen outside in order to end the pain. Right? Whatever it is, somebody will give me $1 million. The person that's bothering me at the ashram, they'll go away.
Never works.
Whatever it is, right? We'll continue to imagine that something could happen. This family member will get it right. This person, they'll quit being a pain in the butt. But that's just still continued union with pain.
Oh, yes.
As long as, and there was a question here yesterday about what to do. The mind has to be controlled. The little self has to be brought into line. We picture the wild horse. And I walked through the West and I saw it. I'd never seen it before, but walking through, because I would walk sometimes through places, and walking you get to observe a little bit more about the scenery and what's happening and like that. So I walked back by some places where there were rodeo, etc., in southern Arizona and Oklahoma, interestingly as well. And I saw someone literally training a wild horse. I'd never seen it before. I'd seen it in the movies or something like that. But that horse is so angry. It's so angry, and it's rebelling constantly against the one who's saying, I'm going to be your master.
Right.
And it's saying, absolutely not. You're not going to be my master. I'm not going to allow it.
Right.
But then that same horse, a year later, is kissing that master so lovingly and so beautifully. Mm-hmm. And so what happened to the other horse? And by the way, that horse will say, oh my God, this life is amazing now. I'm so happy that I found this life. Do you suppose it will long for the times when it was wild? From that state?
Occasionally. Maybe not.
Why?
Like running free with other horses and wild pastures and stuff.
Oh, what a pain in the butt that was. It looks good on the movies.
That's true. Wow, yes. Yes.
Really, being subject to everything here?
No. It's well.
I always think of the monkeys when they're stealing alcohol from people, and people eating outdoors and they're like, monk come up and steal a drink and they start getting drunk. I always think of that.
Because we are so miserable in our situations in life, because we're so miserable, we're constantly imagining other people to be happy. But if you really pull away the covers, you find out everybody's miserable.
Yeah.
You know, when we get to hear the stories about all the traumas and all the things that happen that we have to carry around with us, that are constantly asserting, everybody here is miserable. We just imagine that somebody else is happy. That monkey is happy, he's so cute, you know, but if you get inside, he's freaking out. That wild horse is just in a constant state of freaking out.
Yes.
And we have experience with this. We know what it's like. Right? Okay, here's what Swamiji says. So, and then he says this, you know, understanding this, Lord Krishna says this. Says, this yoga should be practiced with determination and with an understanding mind. So an understanding mind, not losing its memory, not forgetting what it's like when it's tossed about by the union with the sense objects. Not forgetting the pain when someone says, you're stupid. Not forgetting that. Not forgetting what it feels like when someone seems to insult you. But recognizing that there's a way out of it, that you can't change the other people, but that you can change all of these reactive mechanisms. And you can come into the place of bliss and satisfaction and freedom and reside there. So when the mind understands this, then it becomes a friend, yes?
Yes.
So then what to do? This yoga should be practiced with determination and with an understanding mind. So here's Swamiji's commentary. It says, when everything is all right and the sun is shining on you, you may think that you have no doubts at all and that you know exactly what God is, what meditation means, and that you see God. But when there's trouble in life, where is that God? Suddenly the ego rises, there is insecurity, fear, agony, and all your belief deserts you. This is the danger of a belief. So Krishna says here, if you have a vision of truth, test it against this definition. Established in that truth, can you withstand the greatest calamity and smile? So there you go. Is it a good test?
Yeah.
Has this been a good test the last couple of weeks?
Oh,
Yeah.
tears.
If you can, then it is possible that you have discovered the truth. If you have been put through such a test, then if you have not been put through such a test, then suspend the judgment. Mataji, I have to read this one more time. Is it okay?
Yes, Swami.
It's just perfect. It's perfect for us, Mataji. It is. The Lord understands this timing thing. You know? The Lord understands timing. I discovered that personally when I observed that on the coast-to-coast pilgrimage, water always came within 2 hours of the water bottle becoming empty. So that was a very personal observation, discovering, it seems like I'm creating time, but somehow the Lord is able to deal in this environment. So here we go. When everything is all right and the sun is shining on you, you may think that you have no doubts at all and that you know exactly what God is, what meditation means, and that you see God. But when there is trouble in life, where is that God? Suddenly the ego rises, there is insecurity, fear, agony, and all your belief deserts you. And this is the danger of a belief. So Krishna says here, if you, quote, if you have a vision of truth, test it against this definition. Established in that truth, can you withstand the greatest calamity and smile? If you can, then it is possible that you have discovered the truth. If you have not been put through such a test, then suspend that judgment. As long as we identify the self with mind, body, and the world and experience only external pleasure, we are always in pain. When this deluded identification is removed and the consciousness is united with the self, as in yoga, then we are in bliss. We are bliss itself. This is the highest attainment, for there can be no happiness greater than the bliss that is independent and complete. This bliss cannot be removed from one established in it, nor can it be modified in him. Since he is totally detached from the world, the body, and the mind, and since he has realized that the self is an independent, silent witness of the world phenomena, including his body and mind, small s self, of course, he remains unmoved in all conditions. He knows the self to be the immortal, eternal, all full, perfect, and independent bliss, the real divinity within. What we need is firm determination, not the pig-headed obstinacy with which it is confused, real understanding, and an intelligent approach to the truth of our essential divine being. Hariom Tat Sat. Any other comments, questions, observations? So we continue in the line in the morning. He comes back to the teaching of yoga. This today really is focused on the state itself.
The state of mind,
The state of yoga.
the state of yoga.
The state of union of consciousness. The state of the end of the union with pain.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, when both my parents passed at different times, I wasn't actually.
Where did they go?
I don't know anywhere, but they went somewhere.
Why do you say?
Well, then when they passed over, when they were no longer here.
But they're still here.
No, maybe they might be. There might be another body by now, probably. Most likely. If they went in that tunnel.
You can't see them, you can't smell them, you can't taste them, you can't touch them,
Yeah.
but they're still here.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
Well, I wasn't sad at all. I was happy for them because I know they were
Good.
ready to get rid of their bodies. Like
Good.
they
Good.
reached that point where it was a hindrance.
Good.
And I was like, oh, that's great.
Good.
And then we get through it pretty easy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good. Good. That's a beautiful observation, Kartikeya, and that is, in those moments, a place of detachment from the source of pain.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't find yourself caught up in what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And how this affects me.
Yeah.
You allowed yourself to relate to it in terms of how it affected them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a good observation. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful. So as a result, there was a healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hara?
It just brought up 3 days ago, was when 5 years ago my dad passed. And I had the opportunity to spend 6 months with him as he digressed. And it was such a wonderful moment when he passed. So I relate wholeheartedly to what you said. You know, he's free of the body, of the suffering that he carried, and could redo it. It's just gonna be good, Kartikeya. Thank you.
Yeah.
Remind me the beauty of that.
Okay. Shivdas, anything? Mataji?
I was just thinking of Patanjali's Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, and how that could be interpreted the restraint from pain. But I'd never thought of that before. So when you still the thoughts of the mind, you're stilling the pain. There is no pain.
The mind imagines there to be nothing above it when it's in this state of separation.
It's true. Yes.
But when that state of separation has ended, then the mind doesn't question its role. In the same way that the tame horse serves its master. So the subdued mind, the self-controlled mind, doesn't question its role. Okay, let's close with final prayer in Arati, page 174.
Yes.
Okay. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Vargai Rukameva Bandhanam Mritor Mukshayamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Vargai Rukameva Bandhanam Mritor Mukshayamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Vargai Rukameva Bandhanam Mritor Mukshayamamritata Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashanto Makashi Dukhabhag Bhave Masato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mritor Mahamritam Gamaya Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnamudashate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto Thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold Thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve Thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember Thee. Let us ever sing Thy glories. Let Thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in Thee forever and ever. On Bolu Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki. And for all the saints and sages of all the traditions. Okay, let's rise.